Today I played an absolute banger of a game. Communist donkeys? Indeed. Alcoholic talking skulls? You bet. Neglecting my job description and desecrating corpses? Excuse me? Making further shady decisions like raising the corpses I'm charged with to be my very own permanent zombie employees. Yes, Musketeers, an absolute banger of a good time. So let's get right into it. I played 100 Days of Graveyard Keeper. Our story begins on a rainy evening. I'm buying stuff at the servo, Gaza is serving me and remarked about the cute teddy bear I was purchasing for my love. I get a call from that special someone and for a brief moment, my attention was led astray. Everything happens for a reason. A shadowy figure tells me to keep calm and that I've merely turned a page in my life, that my new home is a graveyard and that I am now a graveyard keeper. I was instructed to dig up Jerry and he'll sort everything out. The next thing I know, I woke up in a strange bed in a strange house, but with the explicit instructions to dig up Jerry. It seems this golden arrow will lead me to this purpose. Outside this unfamiliar cottage, I'm greeted by a rundown property with some swampy views to further dampen the mood. However, I follow my gut, which is actually this golden arrow, and it directs me to excavate the earth here. Holy sod, I'm a skull! It turns out this talking skull is in fact Jerry, but it took a moment for him to realize who he was. As he was continuing to reminisce, he is interrupted by a familiar sound, which was a bell chime, and then a donkey as he was hopping down the path. As any normal human, I greeted the donkey in a cordial manner, and was surprised that it spoke back. Hey buddy, how are we? Got a fresh corpse from the town. Wow, a talking donkey. You can understand me. With a brief discussion, I can ascertain that Donkey is an anti-capitalist. In fact, he is a communist, as he refers to me as comrade, and that he delivers corpses from a town for a measly 5 carats per day. He plops this one down gently and will return with another one soon. Hey, what are you staring at? Grab that juicy corpse while it's still fresh. Jerry suggests we take this body to the morgue, but I'm pretty sure it'll be fun. It might be preventable. I'm going to puke. Jerry continues to instruct me to slice some flesh from the body, and my guy seems very unenthusiastic about this endeavor. But I reluctantly agree so long as he tells me how to get home. I slap this corpse down and get to work, and after I complete the duty, I'm standing here with fresh human flesh on my person, and then I learn a few new cooking recipes. Lovely, I enjoy a little bit of cannibalism. Burger, sandwich, and baked meat. The only meat I have is the flesh. Okay, that sounds delicious. I take the deceased to the graveyard next door. I designate a burial location and put this poor fleshless fellow to rest. Jerry congratulates me on a job well done. I receive a burial certificate, and this seems to mean money and alcohol to the talking skull. Another visitor comes to the graveyard, and it turns out it's the bishop, but also my boss. He seems surprised to see me and says that I've been expected for 30 years. He then gets judgmental all of a sudden and says my graveyard is a mess and that I need to fix it up before giving me a promotion, which makes absolutely no sense to me. He claims the quality needs to be at least 5 before this can happen. I guess I don't have to worry about sending out resumes, I'm already employed. The bishop will come by again next week on the Purple Day. But while he's here, I ask him about that certificate, and apparently I can trade it to the village for monetary compensation, and that's how I get paid as the graveyard keeper, because of an ancient contract or something. Before I find out what I need to do next, I examine a few tech trees I have, and these look quite extensive and exciting. The game has a lot you can do and learn. But I can't do anything without the right tools, so I help myself to the previous keeper's stuff in this trunk. I make myself look busy in front of my boss by clearing out some weeds, and this drains my energy bar. Quite rapidly, in fact. With 21 negative quality, I have my work cut out for me. I take a walk following this golden arrow, which takes me past a place called Witch's Hill, which is guarded and closed until another day. I continue east through a huge wheat field, and I find myself in a village, and this place looks like it's from the Middle Ages. I'm led into the tavern, and I have a chat to Horadric, who is the owner of the Dead Horse Tavern, which sounds awesome. I can talk to this fella about the burial certificates, and he says because of an ancient contract, he is obligated to trade money for them, but he whinges that money is short and times are tough. but tough enough that he is willing to purchase the fresh meat in my pockets, given that I have the right stamp of approval for it, which is something I don't have at this point. Horadric seems upset at this missed opportunity, which indicates that the village is going through tough times. He says I can talk to someone called Snake to get a fake stamp, which sounds quite illegal. He also asks me to send a letter to the local blacksmith called Kresvold, which I could do, I guess, but not before ignoring his money woes and selling him the certificate for 1 silver and 50 copper. I played a little bit before this recording, so I'm very well aware of this teleportation stone, so I will be back for this shortly. But not before visiting the blacksmith, who sends me on a little errand to kill some slimes. I demonstrate my superhuman prowess and further my conversation with the fella about location of metal ores. He says I can find some to the west in the swamp. It's late, so I head home and realize that the bishop is an absolute beast. He can push me like a rag doll. Jerry jump scares me from behind the bush and tells me some useful info like gathering and preparing meals. He also knows how I can get home, but he wants a bear as a trade for this information. I'm not going to worry about that just now, there's plenty of foraging to be done. Now, there's this garden here, but for commercial use I need to speak to Horadric again. Pretty keen for some farming, I reckon. I go to my home and my cellar, which is an absolute mess, but I hear someone else is lurking down here. They seem to be adamant about getting through here, but to get to him I need to clear these paths. All this rubble down here holds a few bits and pieces, but especially some flour, which is really appreciated. But with all this cleaning I'm out of energy and unable to complete any more actions. I hop into bed to regenerate energy, and in the early days of this game, sleeping is the best method to replenish energy, but you lose time in doing so. A talking skull, and now I see a ghost. Well, he seems friendly enough, but he asks me to dig up a mean fellow in the graveyard and dispose of the body in the river. Well, I've already let a talking skull persuade me to cut flesh from a body, so this just seems like the next logical step. Let's just quickly make this... Goodbye, person. Jerry catches me and suggests the best way to get rid of an unwanted body was burning it, which is rational, I guess, especially when the river leads into town. I go and complete the spring cleaning downstairs and get a few tech points, which is a good place to tell you about them. There are red points, which you get from crafting and working with materials, green points, which is working with nature, and blue points, which is knowledge about spiritualism. Red and green are plentiful, but the blue will come into play later. For now, cleaning up my workspace outside gives me green and red points. It's also a foggy day, which adds to the immersion of a graveyard. I chop down my first tree and transport the logs to my log pile so I can work with it later. I make myself some baked mushrooms, draw some water from this well, which gives me a bucket of water. I then pour the water out of the bucket and into my pockets, so that I have actual water, which is damn reasonable to me. I use water and flour to make dough, which I'm going to use to make bread. I'm going to need energy if I want to work towards getting all these workstations. I spend my first tech points unlocking the sawhorse, chopping block, and stoneworking. While I gather what I need, I'm interrupted by what's going to become an incredibly familiar sound to me. Oh, we got another body. I make my first sawhorse, and I can make a few things with this crafting station. But what about that body though? Hey buddy. Just dumps him in the road. Hello, Jerry. You're still not talking to me, are you? Hey buddy. Hey, where's my bear? Mate, I'll get you your bear. Bugger off. Looks like more flesh can be extracted, but taking something isn't the only thing I can do. Insert? Can I insert something? Can you put the meat... I'll just put this flesh back into the body. That's amazing. For now, I keep the juicy flesh and bury my second body. I pick up my baked bread and catch a little bit of shut-eye. It's day 3 and Yorick the ghost appears again and thanks me on a job well done. He also tells me about quality of corpses and what determines if it's good or bad. It's the white skulls and the red skulls, which are good deeds and sins respectively, so I'll keep my eye on that next time. He says good bodies and good decorations is what makes a graveyard look good. Here's a tutorial if you wanted to have a quick squiz. Now Jerry wanted a bear, so I was about to buy one, but then Horadric gives me one because I helped Kresfeld before, which was really convenient. I ask him about the garden, and he says that I need to speak to the merchant for proper details. I have permission to grow crops there in the interim, as he has the authority to at least let me do that. The merchant comes to trade with the villagers on these days, so I'll keep an eye open. You know what else is convenient? A teleport stone for 2 silver. The map is rather large, and you can see there's still a lot of unexplored areas. To the east of the village, I find a guy that lives in a cauldron. Well, don't judge. He says if I bring him honey, he will teach me how to make cake, which is a sweet deal. I steal some apples and I see I'm being watched. Oh, there's a guy over here. Headbutt? No, he went inside. I was just about to talk to him and everything. Maybe next time. This area has a lot of berries, which is good news for my lacking energy. I explore north and I find a campsite with one individual. This gypsy baron can teach me kebabs if I bring him fish. When I'm done exploring, I use my teleportation stone, which is the best item in the game by far. It saves so much time. Just outside my house, Jerry is losing what's left of his mind about an inquisitor. I promise to go distract the offending individual. On the way there, I claim this garden for my own purposes, which is going to be very nice. I meet the inquisitor and let him know I'm the new graveyard keeper. He understands I'm new here and asks me to join him for a witch burning ceremony. We make small talk and I decide to be honest with this bloke about where I'm from. My honesty is the best policy. Actually, I'm from another world. I'm not entirely sure how I got here. I don't think it's an appropriate time for jokes, and I don't appreciate your general demeanor. Ooh, okay, that was not the good answer. The Inquisitor is a man of faith. He protects it and humankind itself, he says. His concerns are the dark cult rising and burning as many witches and heretics as he can lay his holy hands on, and they all end up on this pyre. As I'm new, he suggests we be friends. Actually, he wants me to be a mole, but I agree so as to not end up on the pyre myself. He will be back on this day and asks me to come back next week to see him. There's been a lot of excitement, so I catch some sleepy time, and that's also how I save the game. When I wake up, I see a pretty shriveled up body that I need to deal with. Well, it's already too late, I might as well give Jerry his beer now. But he's not happy with it, it's pretty weak beer. But he answers my question about how to get home. He says there's a portal on Witch's Hill. He says the astrologer might know more about it. All I know is how to extract flesh and bury corpses for the time being. I really need to expand my knowledge, so I start to gather some raw materials. When I need to repair my broken tools, I use this grindstone to get them back into working condition. I get some cooking preparation done in my kitchen and I make some fillets with all that fresh flesh. And I make sure to cook it up nicely. It's quite foggy when the sun rises this day, and I make a discovery to improve my efficiency. Look at that! I can push them! That's amazing! At the tavern, I receive another payment for a job well done, and I go meet the local farmer, who is not a fan of my line of work. But after talking about farming, he divulges some cooking recipes. I think about buying seeds from him, but I don't have enough money for everything, so I don't do that yet. But it's the blue day, and I find the old astrologer at the lighthouse. He seems to be a very miserable fella in general and not really sympathetic to the problems of others. However, he asks me to do something illegal. He asks for a skull, and then maybe we can talk about the portal on Witch's Hill. The lighthouse keeper is here as well, and he's a fisherman. When I ask for a free rod, he says to bring him some moss that can only be found at night, which I agree to do. Before that, I sleep to get all my energy back. I've seen a full cycle of a week, and the bishop will be here again today. Hey buddy, how are we? He's checking himself out. Oh my god, the fella's checking himself out in the mirror. While the bishop supervises me, I get to work fixing some of these gravestones, and when I'm done, the quality shot up from -22 to -14, well on my way to positive numbers. I then craft up a lot of materials like wood billets and very quickly run low on energy. Just enjoying some cannibalism right now, it's a good time. Followed up with making flitch, and I use this to make a chopping spot for chopping firewood. Time flies and I also make myself a furnace, but I don't have any kind of ore yet. Cresvold said there was ore to the west, so I need to fix this bridge to get there. I make the carpenter's workbench because I'll be able to make planks here. I make a wooden anvil, but I don't have any kind of metal yet to make nails for that bridge, which poses a slight conundrum. A slight body distraction next, but I decide to learn a bit more so I can actually get the skull from this one for the astrologer. I decide to go ham. Okay, so this is, ooh, that's a nasty looking body. At least I have a lot of goodies. I remembered that Yorick told me about corpse quality. I don't want to bury this body in my graveyard, and I can't burn them yet either, so I reluctantly decide to bury this mangled mess, and it tanks my quality a little bit, which is counterproductive. The next day I go see the merchant, who seems to be a hiccup kind of fella. I try to scare him to get rid of his hiccups, but that was a bad first impression. I guide this conversation towards that farming spot because this guy owns it. We make a deal, which involves growing crops, but he wants to see what I can do and asks me to bring him some veggies that I've grown. He also asked me to get him hiccup grass. Now this time round, I can just afford enough seeds for what I want to do, and I finally start to plant all these veggies in that garden spot. No watering is required, it seems. I'm just north of my house gathering rocks and wood from this area, and I make a little discovery. Yeah, I spy something up there. I think that is iron ore up there. It is indeed iron ore, which is really appreciated. There's quite a bit up here, and I gather all of it quite peacefully. When suddenly... Oh! Back, you fiends! Whew, Jesus. Okay. I start to smelt up all this iron ore I found the next day, so I'll be able to make those nails shortly. I go see an old friend while I wait. Hey buddy, how are we? Ah, Keeper, I enjoy the air here. There's something righteous in it. Now today, the Inquisitor has something for me. He likes to make big spectacles about witch burnings, so he wants me to make him some flyers and restock his firewood for the occasion, which I agreed to do. Advertising flyers as you can get. Come to the witch burning. While I'm here, I find what Jerry mentioned before, or at least it looks like a portal, but it seems to be run down. Also on the hill to the left, I find what could be turned into a vineyard, which could be exciting. There's also a burnt down house here and a body in a grave. I have a poke around, but I leave everything as is. I'm exploring in the wee hours of the morning. I find a hive here which I can get honey from, which is really nice, and an abandoned apiary, which I think I'll be able to claim myself once I can fix it up. There's a blocked path there that I need to clear up, and most interesting is this giant rock stone, which I can get chunks of stone from. I go visit the astrologer and give him that skull I pilfered from someone who no longer needed it. I ask him about the portal, and he tells me about an old friend he had in the past. This friend was also a graveyard keeper, but that he vanished some time ago. The other keeper was obsessed with the portal, and that he may have activated it. Now that keeper's name was not Jerry, so that rules him out. The previous keeper kept a diary, which should be somewhere in the church library, and the astrologer gave me a key, which I guess I need to find that diary and bring it to him to get more information about the portal. Among the fog of the morning, I finally make a bunch of nails. I want to go fix that bridge, but I apologize to the bishop because last time he was here, the place looked better, but I buried that mangled corpse. Anyways, that bridge is fixed and I explore abroad. I enter the swamp area and there is a lot of iron ore deposits, which is quite welcome, but I have to teleport home to deal with a body. I don't mangle this one, but it doesn't change the quality of the grave either. My crops are ready the next day and I teleport to the tavern where I set my eyes upon what is supposed to be pixelated beauty. Wadala boop da ba dee ba dop. You wanna be loved by me? Shaluba duba wawa. Captivating. I introduce myself to this lady who's Miss Charm, and she completely shuts me down. I feel personally attacked here. I am indeed short of stature. It seems everyone in the tavern saw that interaction because this random fella asks me about it. He says he's a poet and he wants to write something for Miss Charm, but he needs paper and ink and asks me to get him some. That's none of my business, but I agreed to help the beta male out. Back at my farm, I make compost bins so I can get some fertilizer going. I harvest my crops and I get just enough to take to the merchant for that deal. I'm back at the swamp and I start to navigate this maze while collecting any iron ore. It takes forever, but I do find hiccup grass along the way for that merchant quest. At the heart of the swamp, I find Clotho, because the name tag up here says so, but she seems to have no memory of who she is. She did have instructions from herself to herself about what to do when memory loss is an issue. I need to help her remember who she is. She also asks for a silver star quality pumpkin, which sounds difficult. On the way out, I see another bridge I could build, so next time I come this way, I'll bring the resources to fix this thing. It'll save me time. I forgot that I could teleport and I painfully find my way back out of the swamp on foot. Oh, don't worry, I do remember when it's too late. I could have just teleported home, I just realized. God damn it. I deal with another moist corpse and bury this one with still no improvement. Then I realized I should probably continue fixing these graves like I did before. I want to fix all these blockages and bridges as well, so I craft up a bunch of materials to do just that. The swamp bridge was first, so no more painful marshy walks in the future. I then fix up this northwestern path and get ready to explore, but I'm interrupted. Wow. Oh come on, why now? Sometimes you just gotta let a body husk up and forget about it. I find this quarry looking place up here. Looks like there's something on the left that I need to research before seeing what it is. Stone in the middle and maybe marble on the right. I fixed a bench and I can make stockpiles up here. I'm also able to sleep in here, so that's awesome. I look at my talent tree and unlock the iron ore mining, and indeed, this does unlock what seems to be an endless supply of iron ore on the left, which is a winner. I find another spot on the right that looks like it's off limits to me. I also see an endless vein of coal, which is fantastic. I get back to this not so moist corpse and give it a proper burial. I really need to do something about this graveyard quality. So I look at my theology tree and learn the simple gravestones. In fact, I spend points and learn a bunch of random tech at this point. I make a trunk for my farming area because it's going to get very busy over here. I use some flowers and peat to make flower beds for the graveyard, and I bring the quality up to -7. Now with max energy after a good sleep, I go and harvest coal until I can't anymore. My pickaxe is ready to break and I have about 250 coal, so that is quite good. I also tried teleporting while carrying something, and this does indeed work. I don't have an iron ore stockpile, so it's going to sit here for now. I spam click and smelt all of my iron ore. I replaced my wooden anvil with a metal one, so I can make complex iron parts and better tools. I make a stone cutter where I can make gravestones and also break up iron slabs into iron ore. I take stock of how many graves need decorations, and I start making said items, but energy is going to be a problem. I forage around for berries to supplement this growing annoyance. I remembered I owed this cauldron man honey to teach me how to make a cake. I try to see how I make this cake at home, but I come across some other recipes I learned a while back from the farmer, most noticeably these carrot cutlets. I gather what crops I can spare and make what sustenance I can. I sleep and I wake the next morning to a few carrot cutlets, which is exciting, and I try them out. Yeah, my god, look at that energy, it just plummets. So does the carrot take me up? Yes, a carrot does take me up quite a bit. That's amazing, I might go with carrots. I then make all those fences I wanted as well. I go and see the merchant first about these crops that I've grown, and he thinks they look pretty terrible, but he sees potential in me. He proposes we become business partners if I get a trade license, which doesn't sound too hard to me. I also give him that hiccup grass, but unfortunately this robs the man of his taste buds. He directs me to go find Clotho, which I already know, and ask her to find a cure for his misfortune. On the way home, I buy 20 carrot seeds from the farmer. I accidentally teleport to the wrong location, not the dead horse man. So I'm forced to harvest some sticks before I can teleport home. I plant all those carrot seeds I bought, and I then make myself upgraded tools for the improved efficiency, which leads me to use all of those gravestones and fences and chuck them on all these graves. The quality goes to 8, so I'm finally ready to see the bishop when he's around. I'm dealing with yet another corpse, and Jerry comments on how exhausted I look. Look, it's hard work doing what I'm doing. Jerry continues to say that the old graveyard keeper had a lot of helpers in the past, that they're kind of like himself but not funny. In fact, one of them is in the church cellar, chained up. That's very interesting. That kind of sounds like where that diary I'm looking for would be as well. A body gets buried suitably and I get another certificate. I harvest a lot of resources and make this awe-inspiring conga line of tree stumps for my purposes. I see Cresvold next and sell him my old tools, and he buys them for a lot of money, which is really appreciated. I buy all the carrot seeds that I can and expand my crop field accordingly. I clear out one section below and I can finally speak to this guy. He is unfortunately quite aggressive and he threatens me with his dagger, so I threaten him with my sword, which seems fair. It didn't come to violence, but my options with him are convince him or give him the key. Is that the key I have by chance that the astrologer gave me? I get it from my trunk, but it's not the one he's after. He wants a golden one. There's another blockade here that I can't clear yet. I do see Jerry from here, so indeed it looks like all these places are going to be connected. Oh, this is Snake. Okay. Snake! This is that fella that can get me that fake stamp for my meat to sell to Horadric. He's also connected to Miss Charm, as Horadric said that she knew where he was. Well, he's right here in my cellar. I go deal with another body, but I notice something I can fix here, and it's a corpse hatch. There's another one inside as well. Before that, I deal with the current corpse. I fix up those hatches the next day. I repair the desk in the mortuary as well, and I can make pallets or preparation places. I go see old mate Bishop and tell him the good news. He's pleased and he promotes me to prior, and he says it's time for my first sermon. He says not to worry and just speak the words. It'll be a great honor for you to have the so you just stand in the pulpit and speak the words. Apparently I speak the words? What words? The words. Actually, you can say whatever you want. I nervously stand up and I say whatever. May the Not too bad, my sermons are much better. I would have said Musketeers, one for all and all for one. If you think my words are better under the circumstances, hit that like button and subscribe to join the Musketeers. Bishop says I have to do this every week now, and maybe someone will show up next week. I'm in the library underneath the church, and it's a whole new section for me. I can make alchemy stations down here. First, I clean up a bit and get some basic resources, and also some old notes and books. I have a study table and I can learn about pretty much every item in the game here. On this occasion, I studied blood and I get a lot of blue tech points, which is actually my first. Donkey wants to talk to me, it seems. Hey buddy, it looks like you're doing alright here. Yes, I just opened the church. So now you own everything here. I guess, yes? Congratulations, you're a lucky man. You've acquired all this capital. Your work for yourself. You're a true capitalist now, but the world has no such reward for a hardworking donkey like me. Even you are benefiting from my cheap labor. I fear I cannot call you comrade any longer. But I won't just lie down and take it. Here's a little present just for you. Okay, what are you giving me? What is this? Did he just poop in front of me? Ew. Oh, thanks for the carrots, mate. Well, joke's on him. I will capitalize on these carrot seeds. I check out the Royal Services box. I purchase the right to be a citizen, and I see that meat stamp, and it costs me 50 silver, which is completely out of my reach. Everything else is locked for now. I make a chest in the church so I can store godly goodies here. Also, guess what game my partner is playing?
I gotta go past it.
Nice, well done, babe. Wonderful. Yeah. I then study fat and get excited. Oh, look at all that blue points. It's amazing. A bone follows and I have 60 blue points I can spend all of a sudden. So I have a look at some text that I want to unlock. I get cremation, writing, paper crafting, inventing stories, writing supplies, master gatherer and insects, and that's it for now. Jerry asks me whether or not I'm a cleric now. I mean, with those profound words I stuttered before, I can say yes. Yes, I am. And in my position, I can tell a nasty body when I see one. So I take it for everything that it's worth and decide to burn this one afterwards. I realize that I have to make a pyre for every single body, which really annoys me. Also, who says you can't learn something new while playing video games? 3 things in here. We've got salt and ash. Ew. Kylie, I burned down a body and I got salt. Oh my god, this game's amazing. I decide I wanted to look a bit into the writing, as it's confusing to me. I place down a desk and get into it. It is what you expect. I'm missing clean paper and ink, and I'm already stumped. I think I'm missing something. I make a scroll shelf and this is just extra storage and I'll keep my book stuff here. Donkey pays me another visit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Donkey deserves more carrots. What are you doing here? I'm on... Oh god damn it. What does that mean? It means I'm tired of being oppressed and I'm not bringing you any more corpses. At least not for free. I have a list of demands. First, I demand better working conditions. Grease the wheels for a change. I can't keep listening to the squeak. Second, I need a day off, so no more corpses on Purple Day. And last but not least, I need better pay from you. Okay, these corpses aren't your property. They're like a natural resource, are they? And I want my cut. Each new corpse will cost you 5 carrots in advance. You can place them in a special box here. I'll take the carrots from it. If you refuse, then you can find yourself another donkey. Oh, and there isn't another donkey. Haha. God damn it. I just got owned by a communist donkey, yes. So now I have to work this out with him. Luckily, carrots are my go-to food source, so that's already sorted. I sort out his carrot demand the next morning, but I still need oil for his squeaky wheel. I get back to the church and I make a workbench next, and I can see the ink and paper I need is crafted here. I see, so we get paper out of human skin. I oblige, of course, and paper is awesome. I get study preparation points with it as well. I need canonical flasks next, and I'm kind of stuck because I don't have any more blue points to spend. I sell any burial certificates I have, but I don't have a lot of them. Now money is a bit of a problem for us. We're not really making a lot of money, and that bloody thing cost me 50 silver. How am I gonna get that? The 50 silver I'm referring to is the stamp price. A problem's for later. Right now, I buy some oil from Dig, which I can give the donkey to shut him up and give me corpses for my money complications. I take everything from this corpse again, and I have a lovely bonfire. I collect a delightful Congo line of wood during the daylight, and I make more billets for more bonfires. So it's late at night and I need to pillage flowers to get those moths that the fisherman wanted ages ago. I found one unlucky bug and one poisonous mushroom, which I can make use of somehow. I have a chat to the bishop and he has recently opened up a soup kitchen specifically for poor people, as this will make him stand out and look good. He wants me to make some cheap bowls for the downtrodden, and he teaches me to gather clay and sand to help in this endeavor. I then give my first sermon alone, saying these engaging words of, "Our church is great, and this declaration has earned me 3 faith this time and 42 copper, which is appreciated." I plunder a corpse and I make a decision. I'm not gonna bring bullets every single time. I don't have the patience for that. Which equals me throwing this body into the river. I thought I was being clever at the time. I then study human skin, flesh and skull for some much needed blue tech points, which I spend on the circular saw for wooden beams and gardening, which is the farming perk and alchemy stuff. I also realized something. I just realized something as well. I don't get any money if I toss the bodies into the water. So damn, no, I need to keep on top of the wood chopping and all that sort of stuff then. So I get woodcutter to be able to chop down these big boy trees for more stumps. I harvest my carrots and give the fisherman those moths I continued to hunt the previous night. He rewards me with a fishing rod. No fishing yet, but I do cook up 120 carrot cutlets. I save a few for Donkey's carrot crate, of course. And as the day was finishing, I corrected a mistake by making 4 pyres ready to go. Now I wanted to make a circular saw, however my workspace is very full at the moment, so I increase the space a bit and I clear it up. I'm really keen to use this extra room. I get the circular saw up and running. I can make more of the standard wood materials here, but also those beams now, which is great news. As I'm crafting set pieces, a body distracts me. I'm not going to lie, a body shows up every 7.5 minutes, it's quite overwhelming. I bury this cretin, as it was a good corpse. While not being distracted, I look at how I can make these canonical flasks, because I need them for the alchemy machines, and that's out of reach for now. What's also out of reach for me are these postal box things. I need rightful citizen, which is 3 silver, to even be able to think about getting the trade license for the merchant, so I'm a little bit embarrassed about how awful my money situation is. I go downstairs and I make a hand mixer, and hand mix some fat and I get slowing solution, and I am utterly clueless on what the hell this is. I clear both these paths here so I can get to my morgue much easier, and I make a shelf for easy storage of body parts. Also an alchemy rack for future alchemy stuff, and a distillation cube, which I can't actually use right now as I don't have the knowledge. Why did I even build this then? I go ahead and I break down this final barrier, so now my home, morgue and church are all connected, which is quite convenient. Another body is set ablaze for my convenience as well, and I then break my previous record for largest Congo line. I catch a quick snooze into day 35 and harvest this morning's crop to pay the communist his fair share of carrots and my fair share to be cooked up. I go to this infinite clay deposit below the church because I'm keen to make some canonical flasks. Now my problem is I queued like 10,000 iron bars before, and I don't know how to cancel queued items. Is there not a way you can turn off a furnace? Oh dear. Okay, I may have to make a second furnace, actually. And make a second furnace I did. But to make glass I need river sand, not clay, that's pottery, you animal. Well, there's a river there and there's another body. I do get to that sand deposit that's also infinite, and I do my thing. But it's time for my next sermon, and I didn't get to making those bowls I have to give to the bishop, which is unfortunate. Not as unfortunate as my exact repeat of words I do for every sermon. At least it pleases the audience and I get my 3 faith. I get back to it and scoop up some buckets of water, stock up on infinite coal at the quarry, and start production of making glass. I make a potter's wheel in the morning so I can get started on those poor people bowls, so I'll be ready with them next week. Now I only got 3 faith before, and studying this hard costs me 3 faith. I really hope it's worth it. So the items decompose into essence, okay? Oh, that's good, look at that, yes! Okay, we got 50 points for that. I learned the blueprint for canonical and advanced canonical flasks with this bounty. I need to upgrade my furnaces however, and that takes pigskin. Luckily pigskin is human skin, which I'm helping myself to now from this body. An upgraded furnace looks taller and I can make flasks in here now. I wait a bit and I get some blue tech points from making them as well, which is a huge bonus. I have a look at my NPC quest log and I realize there's so many things I should be doing for NPCs. I also get distracted by the fact that I can't make ink for some of those quests. I don't know why, but I got very lost with what to do, so I went and tried fishing. It's quite reminiscent of Stardew Valley. I get distracted by slimes, which also reminds me of Stardew Valley. I was back up there seeing if the iron ore respawns, but it doesn't. Looks like you have a finite amount of iron ore until you can start getting it from that other thing up north, but that's a hell of a trip to take to get iron ore. I make a second giant furnace to increase the flask production. I was also fishing because that baron wanted silver starfish fillets. Too bad the fish I caught are not any quality, they're just trash. My surgical skills are quite trash as well. I really ruined this body. I burn it, of course. My glass production is going well, but I'm getting low on stone, so I go and gather random clumps around the world. Guess what? I rediscovered this apiary which I could possibly fix up and get some beehives. I think I don't know how to do that yet. So I work at my day job again and spend a huge amount of time making a ton of planks, which I use to make benches in my church to up the quality in there. I also make these simple candelabras, which I put in here as well. I give Bishop his bowls. He says they're pretty damn ugly, but perfect for the poor, so that's a job well done. He also says he wants to upgrade the church, but I need to improve my quality game, and that he also wants some quality fish fillets, so that's something else I have to add to the list. I gave my usual sermon, and I got 5 faith now instead of 3, which was huge. I look at these candles I could make, and I finally pinpoint a wall I've been hitting at the alchemy workbench. The alchemy station is the thing that's really holding me back right now. Yes, I really need to make an alchemy workstation. I study the brain for 3 faith and I get some nice blue points. Now that alchemy I mentioned, I see I'm almost there. I can make the first one soon. I just need flasks so that I can make them into the advanced canonical flasks. So I sleep a lot to make time go quicker. I find Snake down here again and I still have to convince him with 5 faith, which is really hard to save up for. I go ahead and grab some maggots because that makes sense as using them for bait. It does work. I do get a brem that is bronze quality, so I'm definitely onto something. I can make them into fillets for the bishop, but I need to catch silverfish somewhere else it seems for the baron. I try fishing in the swamp. I catch trashy eels, so nothing good. I try fishing in the ocean, and again, they're all trash, but I can at least sell them to the lighthouse keeper. I quit fishing for now, and I finally start making those advanced canonical flasks. While I wait, I go north and take down this blockage for later. I get back to making my first alchemy workbench, which is huge. Now, there are no instructions on what I have to do here. I have to figure it out. And by that, I mean most recipes I looked up on Google. For example, I go buy feathers from this basket. I get oil from Dig, bury another goddamn body, all before mixing human ash with oil to make black paint, which I use to make ink, and then finally pen and ink with those before mentioned feathers. My god, that was a mission. I investigate how to write a new sermon, and it's quite extensive and time consuming. I make a couple of the bronze quality stories into notes. 3 notes are made into a chapter, and with this chapter and non-existent faith at the moment, I can make a better sermon. So no, I didn't do this yet. I did get round to making those flyers for the Inquisitor though, and the 1 ink and clean paper for the poet, so he can write his feelings from his charm. He does offer to write me a Silver Star story for a silver wine. Writing is complicated, so I get the blueprint for growing grapes and making wine from said grapes. There is this grape area on Witch's Hill, and I'll start prepping this up now. I give Bishop his fish and he's blasphemously pleased, but my graveyard needs to look better, so I learn these stone gravestones, plus the confessional and the church shrine. I make a confessional and it's quite chunky. I give my speech and I get 6 faith, which is superb. I make the shrine next, and I wish I had done this before the sermon. I also resorted to Google for a question. Your furnace off. It turns out you literally queue to cancel the workstation, then you undo the cancel, if you get my meaning. You get everything back that's currently queued up as well. I then make a bunch of repair kits and properly fix this graveyard, from 14 to 23, but I really need to do better. I make stone grave fences, and I don't realize at this point that the fences gave me 5 blue tech points per fence, which is massive. But these upgrades has got the graveyard to 40, so I'm ready for the bishop next time. I snooze into day 50, and in the early morning I find the merchant and he sells grape seeds. They are so expensive, but I do get around to planting these 8 seeds. I make a wine press in preparation for future grapes, and also discover that I can make oil out of fat at this thing, which is really helpful. Making a wine barrel will also be helpful. I explore the next day looking for honey and maybe even bees. I fish at this top river spot and I see I get silver brems here, so that'll be used for the Baron fella. I make my way to Witch's Hill first and give this Chad his flyers and firewood. However, his audience for this spectacle shows signs of boredom. He wants more witches, so he asks me to bring him silver wine so that his soldiers are more motivated, which sounds fine. What's also fine is giving this man his fish fillets he ordered quite a while ago. I make a prayer for prosperity next because I'm always low on money and this makes me jovial. Beautiful. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I then do some study for extra blue tech points. I speak with the bishop next and he's pleased with the church and the graveyard quality. But the prick forgot to mention I need a building permit if I want to upgrade the church. Guess how much that is? That's 20 silver, mate. I can't do that yet. You son of a gun. Well, that doesn't help me at all, does it? No, it doesn't. I've got 5 silver on me. That's nothing. I give my prosperity sermon next. I get 7 faith this time and this other thing. I also receive more donations from the people, which is fantastic. After investigating, I see I sell these blessings of commerce, which is that extra thing I just got. I make some extra storage for body parts in the morgue and this fridge pallet to keep the corpses on ice if I didn't want to deal with them right away. I investigate this closed gate and it mentions a key. I do have this key I got from the astrologer but forgotten about. It's not the key I need, however, but I can study it if I had instructions, so okay, something needs to happen here. Excuse me, it's corpse time. And judging from this cabinet full of body parts, if I'm not on a no-fly list somewhere in the world, someone is not doing their job. I harvest my first grapes and they're silver quality, which is what I need, so I buy more from the merchant because he's around. I try adding peat to my grapes because I need to figure out how fertilizers work. I kinda need to do that because I need 15 grapes to make a single bucket of grape juice. Yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. For now, Snake is here and I spend 5 faith to convince him, and his response was golden. You appear useless but also harmless. Useless but also harmless. Right. Now he gives me instructions. And remember what I said a few moments ago? I study that dumb key I had for a long time. I don't understand why I had to study the key for it to work, but whatever. But as we make our way through, Snake seems to be someone who holds a grudge against everyone. I think I'll also hold a grudge against the developers for what happens next. I see what I'm looking for. I didn't control that. What? That was scripted. I didn't have any control. He just waltzed in and died. I wake up in my bed next, which is weird. What's weirder is that it actually happened. Snake is even surprised to see me. He even hates me because I'm immortal, it seems. However, he says he has use for me, which is to explore this dungeon behind him, looking for particular items to prepare a ritual he wants to perform. Also, in this section, I find that person Jerry told me about. This is Gunther. He's a zombie and he begs me to hit him with a sword so he can feel something again. He then tells me about his brothers. They are zombies, which a previous keeper raised to help him. I unlock this technology and harvest some zombie juice, so maybe raising the dead will soon be an option for me. Gunther has also told me where to find one of his lost brothers. For now, I dodged that obvious trap and I retrieved this journal the astrologer has been looking for. I visit Snake's dungeon next. Looks like it's 15 levels deep and it has primarily things I could break to collect items, like healing potions, crafting resources and farming seeds, plus plenty of things to fight down here. Each level is linear. I can't teleport out, so you can only exit at the start or finish of each level, and you will unlock them one at a time. 3 bodies have piled up, but I don't care. I'm making a resurrection table. I plop this corpse in and I see that I need zombie juice and 10 faith, which is kind of insane and not what I have. So I go see the astrologer about this diary I finally found. He tells me that it's a spirit laser or teleport that's on Witch's Hill, and to make the teleport I'm going to need 6 specific items. They can be found in the town. He can't read the diary any further. I need to make him acid and find restoration tools, which leads me to believe I need to speak to Snake again. Righto. I then give my weekly motivation speech and get 7 faith and another blessing of commerce. By now I've saved up 15 silver grapes for the wine bucket, but to make things even worse, I actually need another 15 for a second bucket, and then with that I have a 50% chance of making silver wine. Bloody hell, this wine thing is going to be tedious. I go ahead and study zombie juice because I want to know what ingredients I need to make more. I didn't learn about the ingredients at all, so I will later resolve the Google to find the answer. I then take this blessing of commerce and sell it to the farmer. I don't know how good it is, but it's good enough to unlock the vendor's second tier goodies, so that's really nice to know. I go and investigate the location Gunther mentioned a zombie brother might be, and I do excavate this lifeless corpse. Hiya. Hiya. Oh, that's funny. Now, I may have looked something up, and I'm making a zombie lumber camp next, and I put old Gary mate to permanent employment. I then buy more seeds from the merchant, and this is absurd. I'm always money starved. I'm not getting anywhere, it seems. I have to work something out. I'm also running low on iron, so I have money troubles and resource troubles. I mean, iron is here, yes, but how do I get it back home? Teleporting 1 for 1 is not efficient. I start to prepare this quarry because I want to make more zombies to work here for me. I also see I can make a porter station, which means I can set a fella to carry stuff back home for me. So next morning I bring Gary to this iron ore place. He goes inside and he gets to work, while I get to work on my wine production. I was considering trying to make silver wine from this 1 bronze and 1 silver bucket, when it clearly says it'll produce bronze wine. So I skillfully decide not to and wait for the silver quality buckets. I return the next day and Gary is taking forever. Not a single piece of iron yet. I have a think about that while I deal with these 4 bodies that have piled up. I wish these faiths would pile up faster. I'm really struggling getting by with just 7 each time. But it's enough to resurrect this 7 white skull zombie. He's also an 18% effective zombie, which means nothing to me at this point. Except I bring Gary here and see he's an 8% effectiveness fella, and I get an idea about who's a good employee. I try something else. I put a zombie onto porter. They seem to walk at a decent pace. I chop the surrounding wood and I put it into the station to be ported. I could also leave them chopping and then come back and change their job to carry and then back to chopping. But this lot will keep him busy for now. So here we go. Let's see this asshole. Come on, buddy. So how many does he grab at a time? Yeah, boy. 1, 2. So he takes 2 at a time. Beautiful. I'll do the same thing for iron ore, so that way I will have at least something back home. I go and buy more grape seeds from Allmate, and it's the same story. That is the final straw. I am sorting out my money woes now. That blessing of commerce has unlocked the second and third tier shopping with the farmer, so I sell one to the blacksmith. It didn't go up a tier, but it did move towards it. I'm back home and I have 2 silver quality buckets of grapes, so fingers crossed I get silver wine. While I wait, I collect a lot of coal and chop up a lot of firewood. In fact, I fill up my bag with a lot of crafted raw materials. Now, generally speaking, everybody buys firewood for low money. But here's the big thing. Everything I can sell to Cresvold, mining or iron stuff, they sell for quite a bit. And he has 46 silver to barter with. So I decide to sell him a lot of coal. 301 for almost 14 silver. That was finally a win. But the next morning, after many weeks of painful labor... damn it. Damn it. I mean, that does look fantastic with the energy and the health, but I worked so hard to get silver. I worked so hard for it to be silver. Look, let's see me in a happy mood again. I sell some stone later. And boom, we got 20 silver now. Beautiful. Now that 20 silver was for the building permission, so I can upgrade my church when Bishop comes back. I go digging a lot of sand the next morning because I want to make more glass for flasks, which are for blue points. I think at this point I still hadn't realized that stone grave fences gave me blue points. It's my sermon day and I usually deal with piled up bodies before giving my speech, looking like I came from a murder scene. Before that, I give the building permit to Old Mate, and everything should be all good now, right? By the way, I think you should make a donation box bigger, and speaking of donations, in order to perform a ceremony in the big church, you need to be a right... What? Really? Oh, then I must have forgotten to measure. No wonder. I have so many important things on my mind. Really? Are you actually joking me right now? The rightful papers cost 3 silver, which I don't have at the moment. Very conveniently, I have burned some bodies, so I can get the money for this. I get the papers to him, and at some point I decided to call him Barney. So about the cathedral, I have the rightful papers because I don't like you. I suppose who would about your set me? Barney, I don't like you, mate. I genuinely am not a fan of you right now. That's not fair. Think of it as a test of your faith, my son. I'm about to backhand you, Barney. That's what I'm about to do. He then gives me new goals to strive for in regards to quality, which is going to be way in the future. For now, I get my cheeky 7 faith and a commerce blessing. I start upgrading my tools to the steel versions next because I unlock the technology. I'm working more on my attempt at getting silver wine next. I have enough grapes for 2 buckets, so maybe this time I'll get silver quality wine. Now Snake wants a lot of things out of this dungeon, and I have a list of things I want from Snake. Do you see where I'm going with this? Now I have some basic wine, so that does make this dungeon survivable. It both heals and gives me energy, but when a body arrives, I have to forget it because I can't just simply teleport out. I have levels I need to get to. Also, killing these bugs yield alchemy ingredients, which is a bonus. Here is an added bonus. Yes! Oh, thank God. Yes, that is... appreciated. That is so appreciated. I emerged from my dungeon on day 76 to go and give the Inquisitor his wine. This has been a tedious quest indeed. I have his trust now, and I have to speak to him about unlocking the left hand side of my graveyard. I have the go ahead, so now I have more space for corpses. Back to this fella. He treats these burnings as spectacles. So he gets the grand idea that I should open up a snack bar and sell burgers and beer for anyone that comes. He says I can source the meat the only way I could, which means what you think it means. Oh my God, he says I have a source of cheap meat. Anyways, I go inside my dungeon again and I finally start coming across the items that Snake needed, while helping myself to a cheeky silver vein down here as well. I finally find that bucket of blood he wanted. I'm above ground again and I unlock the west side of the graveyard. So much room for activities. I do my activity inside for a cheeky 7 faith and commerce blessing again the next day. The lads all agreed it was a great sermon. What's also great is another zombie slave to do my bidding. This is number 3. I put him to work right away, and with the soon to be an abundance of iron ore, I stock up on more coal. I spend the majority of day 79 making materials out of iron and switching lumber zombie to carry zombie when he needs to switch his tasks. Now I'm collecting huge amounts of stone because I want to upgrade my graveyard with stone grave fences and such. Walking down like this is fine, but going sideways is a complete nightmare. I go and make some more money. I get the blacksmith the second tier and a cheeky 30ish silver for my pockets. Snake is back and I give him his bloody bucket and bloody nails. He starts to cast a spell and he demands I bear witness to his power. Is this what's supposed to happen? Clearly he summoned a chicken. That's amazing. Something went wrong and he wants another book. It's called the Necronomicon. I need to speak to the astrologer for this, and then Snake will be in my debt. Speaking of owed debts, I grabbed this royal stamp and town pass, but I can't get those restoration tools I need for the astrologer yet. By the way, if I had bought this stamp, it would have cost me 50 silver, and you know how I go with money. I visit the blacksmith to get rid of some old tools, and my god, I wish I did this before. I made a bounty. What else is a bounty is that I was able to squeeze 5 silver star stories out of the poet for wine before he caught on to my thieving tactic and then refused to talk to me. I show my stamp to Horadric and I can now prepare and sell meat to him. Now I'm starved for blue tech points, so I try to scrounge some together by studying stuff. I still don't think I know about the gravestones at this point. But I needed it to learn Stonecutter too. I make a bunch of the stone fences, and I think this finally clicked now. I put a lot of these fences in my graveyard. The quality was 40 before this, and afterwards it's 56. I'm still only getting 7 faith for my sermons. I need to inspire the people, I think. However, raising my 4th zombie slave may not be so inspiring to others. I expand my vineyard a little bit, so I'm making some progress with the wines at least. And the next morning, I watch my employees drop off resources for me, which is glorious. I look at my church workbench and I see I can make candles. I do have candle holders, so I want to get into that, but I need some resources. Before that, I make gravestones, and they also give me blue points. I add them to my burial sites and my quality skyrockets to 81, which is terrific news. What's also great news is that there's a beekeeper in town and I can buy beeswax from him and also bees. I remembered I needed those for making my own hives. I'm making this alchemy mill the next day because I googled that I have to grind up bones from corpses because it's an ingredient to making the white paint, which I will need to make candles. As a main ingredient for candles is beeswax, I go ahead and make my own beehives, but I think I will still resort to buying the bulk of it from the beekeeper every week. But yes, making these candles as I have a sermon coming up. While I wait, I have studied cabbages and I go ahead and grind them down to make health powder. That powder and blood is what makes up zombie juice. Really? Cabbages? And to think you get zombie juice from ground up cabbages. And you know, people complain about eating their vegetables. Cabbages bring back the dead. I take down all these dodgy candle holders and replace them with the more respectable ones. This has brought my quality in here from 23 to 33. But after lighting all the candles, it shoots up to 70 bloody 5. The time has come to say a few words. Oh yes, that's so much more. Oh, it's amazing. The candles are definitely worth it. With this bounty, I resurrect zombie number 5 and number 6. So I'm going to expand the quarry section to include stone mining and marble mining as well now. I even join in the fun for a bit. I expand my bee farm and harvest some wax for future sermons by making a stockpile of candles ready to go. As you can see, it's a weekly thing as the candles only last one day. I expand my vineyard a bit because my grape production is steadily growing larger. Well, it needs to. I still have this trade license that I have to pay another 50 silver for. So I collect a few things, including wines that I intend to sell to make a tidy profit. 20 silver wines go for just under 20 silver, so very snazzy indeed. I try to sell to the blacksmith, but I fail to realize he doesn't even have enough money to barter with, so I only really get half of what I need. I would have had more, but I also spent some on bees to help build the bee houses. I look into my tech trees and I'm interested in this combo prayer because it sounds like it gets me additional faith and money, which would really suit me. You know what else would suit me? Getting a zombie to work on a little farm plot because my farming dedication has been poor in this game. I see I need to utilize fertilizers and I'm surprised I haven't looked at this earlier. Before my sermon the next day, I boost my graveyard to 95 quality, but this only yielded me the same amount of faith, even with all my candles lit. Still, 20 faith is 20 faith. I also discovered that I can get the bishop to look at the church quality, since it's above 50 because of all the candles. Anyways, I add another 2 zombies to my employee list, which would make 8 in total. I decide to bite the bullet, and I sell Horadric all of my silver wine, and this finally pushes me above 50 silver, which is something I've been striving for like 80 days. I will finally be able to progress the merchant's quest line with the trade license now. Although I don't have the zombies yet, I do make a zombie vineyard. I also need fertilizers if I want to upgrade these, so they work the same as farms. I go and see the merchant, and he's glad to have me as a business partner. He has a strategy. He owns a warehouse with distribution capabilities, and I source the goodies to be sold. I also need to make flyers because the more fame we have, the more crates of goodies we can sell in the future. I then upgrade my graveyard fence, and this takes the quality to over 100, which is excellent. I even add some lawn to make it look homely. For the future, I have my bee farm completely decked out with 7 beehives, so I have a steady source of beeswax. And on the final day of this video, I make some flyers because I want to invest in this business venture with the merchant. Well, I have 85 copper to my name at this point, so creating more pallets for crates or things to be sold seems like a good idea. I investigate my crafting station at home, and I can make a crate factory, which I promptly make. I briefly investigate this contraption, and I see all the types of crates I can make. But before I move any further on this, I have lapsed the 100 days mark for this video. From unfamiliar beginnings, like slicing a hunk of flesh from my very first corpse, to raising 2 zombies at the same time, being money starved, to owning 50 silver and a single glorious transaction, giving my first clumsy sermon to no one, to a church full of faithful idiots who like the same profound words uttered every single time, and being called comrade by a communist donkey, to being declared a capitalist by the very same mule. Yes, Musketeers, we have come a long way in 100 days. 200 days of Graveyard Keeper is in progress. If it's not showing up right now, how about checking out this full 300 days Stardew Valley movie? What about something different, like surviving 100 days in Don't Starve Together, or where I became a capitalist tavern owner in Traveler's Rest for 100 days? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. One for all and all for one. Cheers, Musketeers.